Okay, Nicole, could you just state your name and just tell me that you are consenting to this interview?
My name is Nicole Cornevin, and I am consenting to our interview today.
Good, I'm so excited. No, we weren't able to get the director, Sandra, but I'm so excited and I'm so happy that I get to talk to you today.
Yeah, that's awesome. She was not too happy that she was going to miss it, but she has a lot going on right now. We just got about 10 new staff members this week, so it's been an interesting time at Thrive.
Oh yeah, I bet that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
On the website that you are the case manager director. Um, and I just wanted to know like a little bit more about that. If you could just explain like your role with that.
Yes, so I'm the director of case management for Thrive. So I work with our case managers. We have a case manager for our emergency shelter, actually two now. Our emergency shelter is housed on the campus of Haven for Hope. And so we have the ability to shelter 10 young adults ages 18 to 24 on campus. We also have two housing programs. So we have a housing program that houses 20 individuals for 1 year, and then another that houses 25 individuals for 2 years. So we have case managers that go meet with our youth out in the community and case managers for the ones on campus as well. So I am the person who oversees that.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of personal experience that you can remember that really gives you kind of like that reason as to why you wanted to work with these youth?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my main reason for wanting to work with Thrive is that I could have very easily been one of these young adults that we have that we're providing services for. I came out when I was 16 years old in a small Texas town, and this was the 90s. It was not the most gay-friendly time in small town Texas. And I was picked on, bullied, the whole 9 yards, had some of my property destroyed, my car windows smashed out, things like that, would get yelled at in the hallways, all those fun things. And so I dropped out. I decided I wasn't gonna, deal with that anymore. I dropped out of school, went to an alternative school. Luckily, I was able to finish high school there. And then over many years in several different colleges, I finally finished my degree when I was in my 30s and started working for the state as a case manager, and then later on moved into doing case management with Thrive. So, my reason is that there wasn't this resource when I was a teenager, and the youth that we work with, so many of them have gone through so much trauma and so many worse things than just being bullied at school, that I wanted to be that person who let them know that they're important, they're valid, their entire life is not these experiences that they've had up to age 18, that there's more out there for them.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Um, I'm also a part of the LGBTQ, so I really understand and see that for sure. Especially, I know when I came out, it wasn't, the greatest thing in the world
Right.
to some. So I understand, I sympathize with that. So is your, I guess to put it, your favorite thing about working with LGBTQ youth and kind of having this foundation and being part of it?
Really, I think that the youth that we work with are so incredibly resilient. I mean, some of them have gone through things that, a 40-year-old adult wouldn't have wanted to experience, let alone survive, and they're still moving forward. They're still trying. They're not shut out to new experiences. They're not shut out to loving people and, being funny and kind and doing things for their friends all the time and, things like that. Just the ability to keep moving forward despite some of the things that they've encountered is very inspiring for me. It's like the most amazing thing to see, a young adult who's gone from literally living on the streets for multiple years and coming into shelter, being able to complete their GED or a trade school program or, whatever the case might be, get a good job and be able to be self-sufficient and, watch that build their self-esteem and things like that. It's awesome. That's definitely my favorite part of the job.
Great, I love that. You kind of answered my next question. I was going to ask, do you have any kind of programs within the organization for the youth that kind of helps them with their next step in their life?
Yeah, so our case management provides very extensive, comprehensive wraparound services. We help get our young adults connected with, first of all, counseling. That's usually a very big one. A lot of our young adults, until you've addressed certain things in counseling and, started that uncomfortable process of dealing with trauma and the things that you've experienced, it's hard to move forward to other facets of your life and moving forward with education or with, job skills. But so we do that. We connect our young adults with counseling services. We have social events and physical health events. We have a group that comes out and does like Zumba type classes and things like that. We get our young adults connected with different trade programs. There's quite a few in the community that since COVID are, helping people get back on their feet after losing jobs from COVID. So there's a lot of opportunities out there right now for paid training opportunities. So we try to help our young adults get connected with that. Education wise, there is, a whole bunch of our youth that come in that don't have a GED or a high school diploma to start with. So there's several different organizations that we partner with, like Restore Education. SAC has a program for getting your GED completely free. There's a few different other organizations that do that as well in San Antonio. So getting them connected with that. If they're on the campus of Haven for Hope, they can actually get their GED right there. So that's helpful. Not having to travel far. We do referrals for clothing. SA Threads is a big partner that we work with. They give our young adults brand new clothing. They get to go have a full shopping experience. So it's not just like, hey, here's a donation bag of things that you didn't get to pick out yourself. It's, a much better experience than somebody just handing them random items that they weren't any part of, having them be customized to themselves. So yeah, just many different things like that. We try to always, we're client centered. So our young adults are the ones who are directing our case management. And so it's really up to them to establish what goals and what things they want to accomplish. And we just try to kind of remove any obstacles, any barriers that might be in their way from being able to accomplish those things, as well as exposing them to new things that they might not even know is available to them, or activities out in the community, education, career experiences, things like that.
Oh, wow, that's so helpful. And I didn't even realize how much is put into that. So that's like really great to know that that's offered to them.
Oh, and we have a benefits specialist now too, so we can help them navigate, getting food stamps benefits, and education and employment specialists also. We're growing pretty fast right now. We just got all of our new staff members in.
So great. I'm so happy to hear that. I know with COVID, it put a stop to a lot of things and kind of put a made a lot of things more difficult. So
Right.
what was one of the ways, it kind of affected the organization?
So with COVID, we, of course, as case managers for our young adults that are in our housing program out in the community, we would normally go visit them in person at least, once or twice a month to check in, see how they're doing, have a case management meeting. So it really went from being out and about with them all the time to, doing meetings virtually or by Zoom, or doing, we did drop-offs of food delivery because a ton of our young adults lost their job, their employment. If it was the food industry or retail or whatever, a lot of businesses were closed or cut back on staff. So, a lot of our young adults that were gainfully employed lost that during COVID. So we would deliver meals to them. We'd go take like a week's worth of, breakfast, lunch, dinner items and make sure that they, had access to that, help them with cell phone payments. That was a big one because otherwise we really had no way as a case manager to keep in touch, with our clients unless they had that cell phone service. So that was a big thing. But really, sorry, my wiener dog is over here in the background.
I have a wiener dog too.
Oh, do you? Oh my God. That's awesome. Well, you're my new BFF. That's great.
Yay.
Wiener dog owners are the best. Like,
Literally.
unlike any other breed. But yeah, so really we just kind of adapted our way of how we were doing case management, and it wasn't a completely easy transition. It's a little bit different having a conversation face to face versus, trying to have that same conversation over the phone, or your calls getting dropped, or your, video freezes on your Zoom call or whatever. So it was an adjustment, but we've gotten through it and, have found other ways to keep in touch.
Do you have like a targeted, I guess, age group within the organization, or is there like a specific, or is it just anyone that's part of like in that youth category?
It is specifically to 18 to 24-year-old individuals. So if they are coming into our housing program, if they enter the program when they're 24, their assistance with us will continue for that period of time that they're receiving help with their rent payments. So if they turn 25 while they're already enrolled in the program, that's cool. If they're 25, at the time of coming in, they wouldn't be eligible for Thrive. We do, referrals out to community organizations and partners and things like that if we're not able to assist directly, but we are always happy to give resources, happy to guide somebody in the right direction and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you know how many LGBTQ youth you currently have within your organization, around like an estimate?
Roughly about 55 right now, 55, 60.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. They're just so, because I was literally looking for an organization that kind of catered to LGBTQ. And I just didn't see as much as I wanted to, in San Antonio. I obviously know there's a good fair amount. But for me personally, I like, for my career, I want to work with LGBTQ youth. So when I found you guys, I was like, oh my gosh, I
That's so
have
cool.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever are around downtown or want to come do like a tour, a visit, you're more than welcome. We could definitely do that, have you be able to check out the shelter and stuff like that. If you want to go do a ride along case management visit sometime, I'm happy to take you out.
It'd be so great. So what kind of makes this organization, different from the other ones in San Antonio?
Well, when we started, when Thrive was established in 2015, we were really the only LGBTQ specific homeless shelter in the South, basically. Well, especially in Texas. There was another shelter in Atlanta, I believe, at that time, and one in New York, one in LA. But really, like, as far as anything in Texas, there was not any shelter that was specifically for LGBTQ young adults. So that was, definitely something groundbreaking for San Antonio, for sure. I think just the fact that we beat out Austin and setting up a LGBTQ resource in and of itself was an accomplishment. That was kind of cool to be, the first one in Texas. And really just offering that community support. being there and being visible in the community, and letting, other organizations and places that might refer young adults to us, or encounter young adults out on the street that are homeless, let them know that we're around and we're able to provide that support. Because I mean, the statistics right now are overall that about 45% of homeless young adults do identify as LGBTQ, and the estimate here in San Antonio is actually closer to 50%. That's what we see generally coming into our program. Our housing program is funded by HUD, so we cannot, state specifically we will only take LGBTQ individuals in the housing portion of our program. But even so, it definitely comes out to around 50% of, individuals that do identify.
Right. I think that's important to know, like,
Yeah,
with that demographic, it's like, hello. And
yeah,
like, just like how you said, I was surprised that Austin didn't have one either. I saw that too, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
first ones.
right, yeah.
So it's really important. I feel like it's really important to notice that. So when, like, to even see that this organization exists, it's just so powerful, and I'm fully inspired.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, yeah, like I said, you are more than welcome to come out anytime, and I'll make sure our director is there, because she's fun to talk to. She's a character. She's great.
There anything, have you been with Thrive ever since it started?
No, I joined Thrive in 2018. So I just had my 3-year anniversary with Thrive. At that time when I started, there were 4 of us, and now there's 21 of us as staff members. So yeah, it's been a quick growth for the organization, which is really exciting.
Gosh, it's so great to just see, where it started and then all the way up. It's still growing.
Right, right. Yeah, our executive director, at one point in time when the organization first started, it was just her and one other person in our emergency shelter most days. And now, here we are expanding across the community, and it's really cool to see.
Do you know if there's anything a part of the organization that you guys want to add or change? Is there anything, or are you just set like, no, my organization is perfect?
Oh no, like there's always new things that we think of and things that we want to do. I mean, COVID has made a lot of things really hard, but we wanted to do like peer mentoring, have individuals that want to mentor our youth, and volunteer activities, have community volunteers with the ability to be more involved. It's kind of difficult being housed on the campus of Haven for Hope, sometimes just because you need a background check. And during COVID, visitors were definitely not allowed, on campus in the way that they used to be. At some point in time, we've, discussed having our own separate location, having our own building. So that may be a goal in the future for Thrive. I think that would be really cool to have our own space like that, and, have somewhere where we could do more activities like life skills type activities, cooking classes and things like that, somewhere that we have that dedicated space to be able to, teach our youth those things.
Yes, it's gonna happen. I'm speaking it into in existence.
Awesome.
So as far as people outside of the organization, do you guys offer, as far as right now, do you guys offer any, volunteer or I guess internship or just career options within that organization?
So we have had a few individuals intern with Thrive in the past. Right now, we don't have an internship opportunity per se, but occasionally things have changed with our staffing needs and things like that, and we'll hire part-time individuals like for weekends or evenings that generally tend to be, college student age, or, current students that need that flexibility in their schedule. So we're certainly open to that. As far as volunteer opportunities go, usually our events that we would have before COVID started out in the community were a great time to volunteer because we always needed that help. But, you know, with the holidays coming up, we always do, well, we did do a holiday party every year for our young adults, and now it's more like delivering or having the party come to them. But, you know, we're talking about doing just a very small setting, doing a few different groups. So we have fewer people together at the same time for holiday activities and stuff like that this year. So there's opportunities like that to help us out for certain events that we have.
So for a person who wants to seek the similar mission as Thrive or just a similar career, what advice would you?
My advice would be just, you know, try to gain as much experience as you can in different community settings. I mean, I came from a background of well, first of all, being in the corporate world, working for USAA, American Express for many, many years. And then after I finished my master's degree, I started working for the state. And I worked for Adult Protective Services. So working for the state is kind of like boot camp for any other type of case management position you may ever have. It's not an experience I would like to have ever again in my life, but it was like a great training ground, a great way to see everything under the sun, you know, different situations and, you know, how you interact in crisis situations and things like that. So it was a good experience in that regard. And really any position that you have, whether it's a nonprofit or a state setting, a behavioral health hospital, anything like that, you're going to take, you know, pieces that you can use going forward in your career for sure. Even, I mean, I have things that I never thought I would use ever again, ideas or just ways certain projects work from when I worked at USAA. And that was a completely unrelated, you know, field, unrelated position. So I guess my advice is just don't discount any life experiences that you do have, even if you don't think it's, you know, completely related. It'll come up at some point in time in your career to help you along. I mean, I was an English major in college, and that's not really related to case management, but hey, now I can help with writing grants and, you know, putting together content for our website and stuff like that. So don't discount any life experience. And, you know, for students that go the non-traditional route, like I did, it's never too late. Like you can be 33 and finish your master's degree and still have a great career in front of you.
Yes. Oh, that was great advice. Lastly, what has been your biggest takeaway from working with Thrive?
My biggest takeaway, wow, that's a good question. There's so many, there's a lot. I mean, really just sometimes not to say all it takes, but sometimes the most important thing that you can give to somebody and show them is just that you're there for them, just that you are actually present and listening and that they're important and that story or whatever they're, you know, going through matters. And you never know, that could be the day that they were going through the worst moment of their life or feeling suicidal or whatever the case. Ugh, I'm gonna cry. But you know, just being there, being present and letting them know that they matter.
Yes. Oh, I love that. You're winning my heart, stuff. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much
Sure,
for doing this.
absolutely.
I'm gonna
Definitely.
stop recording really quick.
We'll keep in touch for sure.
Yes.